All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving straight into what is essentially the ultimate digital backbone of any growing business. We're talking about the Enterprise Resource Planning System, or ERP for short. If you've been feeling those growing pains of scaling up your organization recently, well, this one is definitely for you. So, let's just get right into it. If your company is outgrowing its current software stack, maybe you're juggling a dozen totally disconnected apps and just a terrifying web of messy spreadsheets, you are probably asking yourself a very specific question right now. How much does an ERP actually cost? And naturally, you are probably bracing yourself for some serious sticker shock. Well, the reality is that building a custom ERP from scratch can run anywhere from $50,000 for a basic setup all the way up to over $5 million. Yeah, that is a massive range, I know. But it really all depends entirely on the scope of your ambitions and just how complex your business actually is. To help you navigate this huge investment, here's our roadmap. We're going to look at the true cost of an ERP, what actually drives that price, the hidden costs you really need to watch out for, the big build versus buy debate, and finally, some incredibly smart ways to save. Kicking things off with Section 1, the true cost of ERP, defining the levels of investment. Before we throw more numbers around, we kind of need to align on what we are actually building here. Technically, an enterprise resource planning system is a centralized database integrating multiple business functions. But honestly, I want you to think of an ERP as way more than just a software expense. It's literally the central nervous system of your business. It automatically connects a brand new sales order directly to your inventory, instantly updates your accounting ledger, and schedules the delivery, all in one seamless motion. And development costs for this scale dramatically across different tiers. You've got your basic ERP for a smaller business, starting at around $50,000 and taking maybe 4 to 8 months to build. But if you're building a massive global platform meant to handle multiple currencies, complex tax systems, and millions of cross-border transactions, you are looking at a multi-year, multi-million-dollar endeavor. Which brings us to Section 2. What drives the price? Let's peel back the layers and look at the complexities beneath the surface. So the big question is, why are these numbers so staggering? What exactly pushes a project from 50 grand to over $1 million? A major driver is module complexity. Take accounting, for instance. It might look simple on the surface, but building a serious financial engine means you're navigating multiple currencies, incredibly strict tax rules, depreciation, and super complex bank reconciliations. You don't just need software engineers for this. You need specialized finance experts working right alongside them just to ensure compliance and absolute accuracy. And if you happen to be in manufacturing, oh man, the complexity absolutely skyrockets. Adding functionality like capacity and production planning, batch management with serial numbers, and real-time factory equipment integration, that doesn't just add a few weeks of work. It can very quickly add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your project scope. Beyond the features you choose, another massive factor dictating your budget is simply where your development team is located. Hourly rates vary wildly across the globe. An engineer in Southeast Asia might bill between $20 and $60 an hour, whereas a developer in the US or Canada could command upwards of $80 to well over $200 an hour. Let's put that geographic gap into real terms, just to put it into perspective. If a custom ERP takes exactly 10,000 hours to build, that exact same project could cost you $300,000 if it's outsourced, or a clean $1 million if built locally in North America. It really showcases the profound financial impact geography has on your bottom line. Now for Section 3, beware the hidden costs. It is time to look below the iceberg. Because right below the waterline of our iceberg model lie the operational realities that can, and absolutely will, sink a budget. First up, data migration. It is relentless. Moving your company from scattered spreadsheets and legacy systems into a pristine new database requires meticulous extraction, cleaning, and transformation. But most importantly, it requires financial reconciliation. Because if your opening balances in the new ERP don't perfectly match your existing accounting records, you are heading straight for an operational disaster. Then there is the testing phase. ERP testing can easily represent 15 to 25% of the entire software development effort. Why so much? Well, because in a fully integrated system, a single tiny code change in the sales module can accidentally break the general ledger. Rigorous testing across security, performance, and user acceptance, it's completely non-negotiable and highly resource-intensive. And please, keep in mind the spending does not magically stop on launch day. You have to budget heavily for ongoing maintenance, typically 15 to 25% of your initial development cost every single year. You're paying for continuous bug fixes, vital security patches, performance optimization, and server management, just to keep the business running smoothly year after year. Furthermore, modern ERPs don't just live in isolation. You have to account for cloud and integration expenses. Integrating with third-party APIs, things like payment gateways, tax authorities, and e-commerce platforms, as well as scaling your cloud infrastructure with load balancing and backups, all of that can easily add thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars to your monthly overhead. This leads us perfectly into Section 4, Build versus Buy. Time to make the right strategic choice. So, with all these daunting costs laid out from the source material, it's time to ask the really hard question. Should you actually build this thing from scratch? Look, buying an off-the-shelf solution is usually cheaper and a whole lot faster if your company relies on standard industry workflows. But building from scratch is absolutely the right choice if your proprietary processes give you a unique competitive advantage, or if you just require complete technological control over your data and infrastructure. Assuming you've made the leap to build, we arrive at Section 5, Smart Ways to Save, keeping your custom build financially viable. If building is definitely the right path for you, the research outlines some incredibly smart strategies to keep those costs under control. The absolute first rule: never, ever build everything at once. Instead, use a phased timeline. Launch a minimum viable product, or MVP, starting with just core accounting and sales. Then you can roll out HR, supply chain, or advanced AI modules in later phases. This lowers your initial costs and lets you actually adapt based on real user feedback. And there are other highly actionable ways to cut costs too. You can significantly reduce development time and licensing fees by utilizing mature open source technologies like React or Python. Use scalable cloud infrastructure rather than buying expensive physical servers upfront. And definitely plug into established third-party APIs for things like payment processing, rather than trying to invent those wheels from scratch. Ultimately, all of this requires a total shift in perspective. You've got to stop fixating on the initial price tag. Instead, model out a realistic 3 to 5 year total cost of ownership, or TCO. That true number includes not just the initial code development, but the implementation, the data migration, the staff training, and of course, the ongoing annual maintenance. Keep this summarizing thought in mind. A well-designed ERP is the digital backbone of an organization. It improves financial control, operational efficiency, automation, and decision-making for years to come. Remember, this isn't just a technology expense. It is a long-term strategic investment in the very foundation of your company's future growth. Which brings us to our final thought. Instead of simply asking what it costs to build an ERP, I want to leave you with this question. How much transformative value will this digital backbone ultimately create for your business compared to the totally massive cost of building, implementing, and maintaining it? Think about that as you plan your next major scaling move. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer of the data. Keep learning, keep building, and I will see you in the next one.